I'm Ron Kosakowski, owner of TraditionalFilipinoWeapons.com. As you probably know by now, on top of our extraordinarily large Filipino weapons collection, we have been veering off into weapons of many different cultures. If you look on the TFW website, you're going to see a lot of weapons such as the kukri, the Celtic dress sword, the claymore, the Braveheart sword, the archer's sword, and many more. And we're always adding more to the TFW collection every year. In this video, we're going to discuss the TFW Katana. The katana is not my area of expertise. I've never worked with a katana throughout my many years in martial arts. I've been working with Filipino martial arts for most of my life, and so obviously Filipino weapons is more my thing. For this video, I have a friend of mine, Chris LaCava of LaCava Martial Arts in Milford, Connecticut. He's going to give us a detailed description of this katana, and so we could understand it a lot better. He has many years of the study of katana and about 30 years in general in martial arts. Chris, I have a lot of questions for you on this one. I assume most people relate the katana more to the Japanese. I see you learned the katana from Korean martial arts?
Yes, I studied Chungsuka Hapdo, which is a Korean martial art of sword developed by Grandmaster Lim Young-soo. He studied Korean arts and also Japanese swordsmanship as well. He was a student of Kome Sekaguchi sensei, and Kome Sekaguchi is one of the lines of Muso Jikiden Ishinryu. So a lot of what you see in what we do is very Japanese influenced.
Interesting. Can you tell us the history of the katana's arrival into Korea from Japan?
No, I can't. One of the reasons why is Korean history can be pretty fuzzy. And unless you're a real historian and doing a lot of research, it's very difficult. You have events such as the Japanese occupation of Korea and many other events like that throughout the centuries where cultures have tried to eradicate the history of Korea. So it can be very blotchy and very difficult. What I could tell you is that the Koreans had the curved sword, a curved blade. Was it the exact thing as the Japanese katana? Probably not. But I know in the Muye Dobo Tangji, which is a book of martial arts that was created in the 1700s, they did have a section on the Japanese sword.
Do the Koreans actually call it a katana?
No, they don't. Really, they call it a do. A do is a single-edged sword. The katana would be more like a deido. Deido is a large sword, where a sado is more like a small sword, like a wakizashi kind of sword. You sell also a jian, which is a Chinese sword. It's a double-sided blade.
Yes.
So the difference is in Korean, a jian that you sell, a Chinese type sword, because it's double-sided, that's called a gum. Oh. And the single-sided would be, the katana would be a do.
When I watch TV documentaries on the katana, I notice that they really express how the Japanese take tremendous care of their blades. Do the Koreans take such meticulous care of their blades also?
With any craftsman, they're going to put their heart and soul into it. Whether it's a wood crafter, whether it's a blacksmith, they're going to put everything they can to that because that's a representation of them. Mm. That, on top of knowing that if they're creating tools of war, creating weapons, they know that a life is in balance with the use of that. Mm. So, at one point, Koreans were very accomplished blacksmiths, and during certain parts of Korean history, they used the blacksmith for times of war much more than others, and that's where they really saw a lot of accomplishments because they're making better and better grade weapons.
The katana seems to be a very important part of the Japanese culture to this day. Is it like that also in Korea?
Koreans are known for many different weapons. I personally wouldn't say that just the sword is that one symbol of a culture like the Japanese. The Koreans were very noted for blades, but they were also known especially for bow, for archery, pole arms, a lot of different types of weapons. So I wouldn't necessarily say they are known as well as the Japanese for the sword in and of itself. The samurai were known for the katana. It was their life's blood, right? I almost see that more with the U.S. Marines and the rifle than I see with the Koreans and the sword. With the U.S. Marines, you have the Rifleman's Creed. It's the one that goes, "This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine," right? And it goes on and on. It's not just that part. And when you read that, that's almost like the code of the samurai, or the connection that the samurai had with their weapon. And so you see it more with the U.S. Marines than you would necessarily say the sword with Korea, but more different weaponry associated with Korea.
Okay, I'm just curious on how the katana is used. If we could just do maybe a couple of different techniques. We'll use the wooden swords for safety purposes, because the TFW Katana will slice our arms off. Okay, so, all right, I'll come at you with like a number 1 angle or something, and
Okay.
you just do one of your counters,
All right.
okay? Ah, interesting.
So really, all I'm doing here is as you come in, I'm stepping offline, blocking it or deflecting it with the side of my blade so my edge stays sharp. I'm going to step again, taking your head. Here.
Very similar to like the Filipino martial arts.
It can be, absolutely, because a lot of people look for the differences in martial arts and don't really look and apply for the similarities. So yeah, absolutely. So here, if you're coming at me with that angle 1, I do a cambiata here from here, stepping offline, doing all the same thing.
That's why I always say they're the same. They're all the same but different.
Right, exactly.
Okay, what I'm
Number-
gonna do is like a number, well, it would be a number 5 thrust in Filipino martial arts, so I'll just do like a thrust.
Sure, so if we're here like this and we're matched up, right? So what's gonna happen is you come in, I'm gonna once again step offline, but as you thrust, I'm going to step and pass the blade here, but as you come in, you step right in with it.
Okay.
Boom, here, I'm gonna check the hand, and then I'm going to run you through.
Okay.
All right, one more time. So here, as you come in, I'm going to step offline. I'm going to step offline, and I'm going to push the blade offline as well. You know, my insurance policy. So passing the blade just slightly offline, because as you know, a little bit goes a long way when using center line.
Yes.
Right? So from here, as you step in and you thrust, I'm going to check the hand, turn the blade, and run you through. I'm going to turn the blade to the side just in case if I go through the rib cage, you know, I don't want to get stuck.
Yes.
I want to pass.
Yes. And I noticed the hand guard, it looks like it could protect your, because it was very close, it
Yes.
looks like it could protect your hand very well.
Any suba, bangpei, you know, hilt, whatever you want to call it, yeah, that's to protect the hand a little bit. You know,
Yes.
also, you know, with anything like that, anytime you do a thrusting motion, if you don't have good grip, you don't have a good hilt, what happens? Let's say you have a knife or a sword without it, and I hit something solid,
Yeah.
I don't want my hand running down the blade.
Yes. Which is very true, yes. What if we're at more of a distance now and I just, basically I come running in?
Right, same thing, you know, that same motion, right? So you come in, I pass it, maybe I end up going for the groin instead.
Oh, okay.
Right? Depending on where my blade is. If it's high, just like with any, you know,
Oh,
just like
same
in Filipino
difference.
martial arts,
Yeah.
am I going to do a wing block? Am I going to do a roof block? Am I going to do block here, block there? Is my tip up? Is my tip down? Is my stick over to the right? Is my stick over
Yes,
to the left?
yes,
So
yes.
it all depends on where it is at the time.
Well, that sounds good to me. In Filipino martial arts, we have one-for-one reflex development drills. Does that same training method apply for the katana?
We do have two-person forms, hyung, kata, whatever you want to call it, where it's a give and take. We have, in this style, we have one person performing the sundo, or the advancing, and we have the other person performing the udo, or the retreating. and it's a give and take, like as we said. So one person goes for an attack, the other one's blocking. These are set patterns, not so much free form, but very set forms. So, and when you look at it, depending on the style, the instructor, or whatever have you, some of them are more flowing than others, more similar to Filipino martial arts when you're doing like hubad or other drills and so forth.
Yeah.
But like I said, it all depends on the instructor, is how fluid or how fast or how free flowing it's going to be. So to answer your question, short, yes.
And it's a long process, so we're not gonna.
Yeah, it's actually two-person performing a set pattern.
Yeah.
So it's not just, you know, all right, this is 1, 2, 3, all right, let's work that, let's kill this one, you know, and just go at it, and repeat, repeat, repeat. These are actually forms that actually, you know, 20 movements, 40 movements, whatever the case may be, depending on how long the form is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seems interesting. One thing that really fascinated me was the grip that gives the power to the katana. I'm sure our audience would be very interested in seeing this. I found that fascinating myself.
The grip is less about the power, but more about the control. With the katana or the dado or whatever, you know, this type of sword, it's wonderfully made. The way it's designed, the sharpness of the blade to cut through, the polishing of the blade to reduce resistance as it passes through a target, it's just made for damage.
Yeah.
And the main thing about that is just getting out of its way and allowing it to do what it needs to do. But once again, if you know how to start and you have good technique, you got to learn how to be able to control that and be able to stop. You know, you and I both know that if you're going to start something, you better know how to stop it, right?
Yeah.
So here with the sword, with the cut, right, you see a lot of people grab it like a baseball bat, like this, right? But what we're actually doing is actually having a soft grip. And when I say soft, I don't mean very weak and you cut and it goes flying out of your hand. That's not what I'm talking about. It's actually a softer grip. So you're going from here to here. And one of the reasons why we do this is because this actually allows you to stop the blade without relying so much on your arm strength. Because when you actually cut, right, and you do this, you're relying on this to stop it.
Yeah.
And your whole body kind of gets rigid and like this. But when we cut, I actually use mass and structure. And the reason I mean is that if we go from the top, here, if you look at my grip, grab it like a baseball bat, there's not a lot of meat behind it.
Yes.
But when I change my grip over to like this, now I've got mass. I've actually got meat behind it.
Yeah.
And that's on both hands, right? So if we look at just that in and of itself, I'm going to have you hold the sword like this, right?
Regular, like a baseball bat, or?
Yeah, like a baseball bat.
Okay.
Right? So you got it down like this.
Yes.
Right? Pretty strong. Let me take this off, because you're a strong guy. So here, not that I'm going to come up to you in a battle and go and yank it out.
Yes.
But for the sake of seeing the power of stopping, when I do this, hold on to this. Don't let me take it.
Okay. Yes.
All right? Now hold on to that bad boy. Really grip. All right? So here, it comes right out.
Yep.
Now, all I want you to do is rotate your grip, relax your shoulders, and just almost like if you were to block a kick, right? You're not going to do this.
Yeah.
You're going to do this, right? So here, you ready?
Yeah.
Don't let me take it.
Oh. Oh, yes.
Right? So what
Yes.
have we done? We've put mass behind it, but not just mass, structure.
Yes.
We put your whole body behind that. So when the sword swings, that's a lot of inertia, a lot of power going out. So what happens? If this goes down, this wants to come up.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
So I can stop this from going down by not allowing this to go up. So instead of using my arm strength, I'm using mass and structure to stop that, which makes the fatigue level down. It's very relaxing. It's not so,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So that's one of the reasons why we do this with that grip. That's why you'll see a lot of people gripping like this rather than that.
Ah, interesting. I feel like I'm not really using any power. It does take me some getting used to. I'm not used to a two-handed weapon, but I
Right.
feel it though.
Right? The whole thing is being able to stop what you started.
Yes.
So,
Good. This is good.
nice.
Good information. I tell you, Chris, one thing I find is it's great to be educated on the weapons that I'm selling on traditionalfilipinoweapons.com. Weapons of all sort, bladed especially, are obviously a great interest of mine. The more I get, the more I'm learning about all of them. I'd say right now, let's get to the fun part of the whole game, and let's go do some cutting.
All right. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you very much.
Let's do this.
Okay.
Yay!